Who Put This On is Season 6, Episode 37, where we watch Next Level Chef, Season 1, Episode 1. And welcome to the Next Level Pod. And I'm Chris Lorenz.
Martha Stewart shit herself if she heard this podcast. This is Brian.
Okay.
This is Harrison, and we're taking it to the next level.
What the fuck is Twitch? I'm social media chef Max.
Well, those are all references to our show we watched this week. If this is your first time watching or listening, we do a different show each week, discussing it in minute detail, figuring out if it's good or bad. And last week, we watched Is It Cake? And we had a Twitter poll on our Twitter at Who Put This On, asking what you guys thought, if it was a top, middle, or bottom third show. And you guys agreed with us that it was a bottom third show. So there you go, all around bottom third. If you want to tell us what you thought about this show, you can reach out to us on our Twitter poll at Who Put This On after you listen to the episode. Harrison, what show did we watch this week?
Next Level Chef is the next evolution in cooking competitions, as Gordon Ramsay has designed a one-of-a-kind culinary gauntlet set on an iconic stage like you've never seen, over 3 stories high. Each floor contains a stunningly different kitchen, from the glistening top floor to the challenging bottom of the basement. The ingredients match the environment because Ramsay believes the true test of great chefs is not only what they can do in the best of circumstances, but what kind of magic they can create in the worst. That's Next Level Chef on Fox.
That's a good description.
Thank you, Harrison. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I could describe the show any better than that, than like 5 chefs, 3 different levels. And then there's some weird going on with how you get ingredients, which, we'll get into that, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
But it's people cooking. And this first episode, I guess, is different than I assume the rest of the season, where there's 15 chefs and then there's like a schoolyard pick'em at the end between 3 celebrity chefs to see who's on whose team. Which, it's a little unclear how much it really matters whose team you're on. I think Harrison has seen more episodes, so he can get into kind of what the rest of the season is when we get into it.
Yeah, I can definitely talk a little bit about the format. I have seen the whole season. It has been a few weeks, but I will do my best to explain the format.
Okay. Yeah. So the top level is a state-of-the-art, better than like a regular kitchen at like a restaurant kitchen, like a high-level kitchen.
It's going to have every tool you want.
Yes, that's what they say. They describe it as any tool you could possibly dream of, it's in there.
Do you think if you're like, hey, I need this tool, do you think they go out and get it and bring it to you? Like,
absolutely not.
No way that's coming in time.
Like, you definitely need like some blow torches.
Oh, they got those.
Oh,
I think even the bottom floor has torches.
Do they?
Yeah.
They don't have fucking sharp knives, but they get a fucking blowtorch?
I mean, that's burning shit down. Like, I think it's fine to burn stuff.
And then mid-level is just kind of a generic restaurant kitchen, is how they describe it.
Yeah, but it's like a good professional kitchen.
Like, it's probably better than my kitchen. Like,
it's way better than your kitchen.
I would hope so. Like, did you see that fridge, dude? Like, I'm sorry, but you don't have like an industrial fridge.
Well, I also don't have 5 chefs cooking in my fridge.
And why not?
You're not in the basement, but you're not quite on the second floor.
I just don't understand. It's like feels like a huge like dump to go down to the bottom tier. Like, you don't even have sharp knives. Like, my kitchen's got sharp knives. Like, you think that, sharp knives would be a requirement to do anything.
Yeah, it's like they have bad appliances. They don't have sharp knives. We're gonna talk about some of the other disadvantages of being in the basement with sort of food selection. But yeah, I mean, I think that, and I'm gonna say off the top, I actually did enjoy the show, obviously, because I finished the entire season. We'll get into that, but I do have some gripes with the format of the show and some of the things about it. And one of the worst things about the show is that the entire thing is built on this, on basically this spectacle of these 3 kitchens that are stacked on top of each other. and they're all kind of different and have these different cooking experiences. But like functionally, in the way that the show works, there's really no difference between the second floor kitchen and the top floor kitchen. They basically like people can basically work similarly well in those. It's only when somebody gets kind of put in the basement is when it feels like they're at some kind of disadvantage. So I think that the concept is kind of interesting, but it kind of sort of fails to differentiate a little bit on the top two.
Yeah,
So
I
they
wish there was a more tangible explanation of like this is what level 3 has that level 2 does not have.
Yeah.
So you're saying is they couldn't come up with a decent middle tier kitchen. Like you come up with like the problem is that, you know, as I said, your like middle tier is still way better than my kitchen, but the bottom tier is worse than my kitchen on a
Mhm.
lot of levels. So that like they really just needed like a decent home kitchen maybe in the middle.
Yeah, agreed.
Here's the thing, though. That bottom kitchen has to be reasonably functional. There's so many safety hazards that are in there if you don't have reasonable stuff. So, for example, the knife, like that needs to be like, it's probably not as sharp as they want, but it's probably safe enough to like use. And then the fridge has to be able to keep stuff at temperatures. I don't know why they like just dirtied up a stupid fridge. And also the stove has to work so you don't undercook shit.
I do think that they made it a lot more about the appearance of a shitty kitchen than like an actual shitty kitchen. But like I like this episode, it was hard to tell. Like people made dishes that
Yeah.
looked really good, and no one complained about any of their stuff other than the knives
Right.
that we saw. At
Uh,
least.
There was a lack of a blender. So some guy
Oh.
had to hand puree something.
That's true.
And that
I
makes
think
a lot
that's
of
a
sense.
good tangible difference between the floors that I would like to see more of. That
Yes.
it sounds like I'm not going to get.
What do you I mean, you could maybe watch more, but now I'm like, is this a hit for later?
No, he's just saying that Harrison didn't really
Oh,
say. Yeah, you want the like spreadsheet like with tiers of what things have. Like on the second level, you get a blender, but on the third level, you get like an immersion blender, and you get like weirder like ovens, like
Yeah,
a convection oven and a regular oven, and like
I want that fucking Will It Blend blender.
Yeah.
no, they're gonna have a laser.
I want to blend up Gordon Ramsay if he kicks me off the show.
The stuff on the top floor just like it seems a little bit unnecessary, but it can kind of maybe help you make something like a little bit fancier. It's like, you know, they will have like a big tank of like liquid nitrogen there, whatever, so you can do stuff with that. Like so they have some things that are kind of like a little bit higher end, basically.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. Like there's a lot of kitchen gadgets that I really want to get, but I'm not gonna have the space for this. Just like save me like 2 minutes in the kitchen.
Maybe they got like a sous vide up there, so you can.
Yeah, I
like,
think maybe they have
you
a sous vide
can,
machine.
like
Maybe
not have enough time to use a sous vide.
Yeah,
yeah, and like the
Uh,
ranges are nicer and whatever, but it's like I think it's all fine. Like everyone was always comfortable cooking in the second floor.
All right. Well, we're talking about the floors. Let's just talk about the food thing. So, when you're on the top level, you have first choice of food. So it's like comes out on this like platform that like descends from the ceiling, and then it stops at the floor. You have 30 seconds to pick whatever item you're trying to cook with, and then it goes to the second floor. Then it goes to the bottom floor. So, I thought this was a very big mistake. Like you got to start on the bottom floor. They get the best ingredients, but have the shittiest things to cook with. Then at the top floor, you have the shittiest things to cook with, or shittiest like ingredients, but the best things to cook with. Like I don't
No,
understand why that's not the thing.
This is the real difference between the floors. It's the order that you pick.
Oh, yeah.
Like compared to everything else, this is the real difference maker.
Absolutely, you're at a huge disadvantage getting the last choice and stuff. I mean, there's always food there when it gets to the bottom floor. It's not like it ever comes down. There's just nothing left, but it's definitely the last choice of ingredients.
Especially,
You'll get
the first
you'll
episode.
get something called potted meats. Has anybody heard of potted meats?
No.
yeah, it's the generic version of spam.
Ugh.
It definitely looked like spam. I'd agree. I'd probably say it could be that. I feel like some people really screwed up this week because they didn't really understand like what was going on. But like the next couple of weeks, like that bottom floor is going to get fucking garbage.
Yep, they'll have it figured out. I'm really
Yeah.
sad though that this thing like didn't drop ski lift style where it's like fast drop and then you have 30 seconds within this range is slowly lowering and then it goes to the next floor immediately.
It's pretty good. Like whenever the thing starts leaving the floor, people start like leaning over the barrier to like try and snag stuff off it. Like I was definitely worried that somebody was gonna tumble down that thing.
There's definitely a clip on Next Time On where like some meat falls between the floors, which
Oh yeah.
I guess is one of the most exciting things that happens in the show.
But now I know a way to sabotage. Oh, oops! I knocked it off.
Oops, his whole thing fell off. What happened? Why'd you push me, Brian? Yeah, you're right, Max. I think that like this is the key differentiator, and like really what they want to see is the bottom tier people make good things from fucking garbage. And I just don't understand what they want for the top level. Like obviously they want them to make good food, but there's no like there's no disadvantage to them.
I do think that they're going to be judging. Well, okay, Harrison probably can answer this, but based on like the color of the plates, I'm betting that there's like some like semblance of like judging where like, oh, the top one, yeah, you did this, but like you couldn't do more, versus the bottom floor. It's like, oh, you did a lot with this, even though it's like not the same as the top.
I mean, I think that there's definitely a higher expectation on the top floor ones, and it's definitely clear when they're judging them which floor the dishes are from. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely think that they can be more impressed when you bust a really good dish out from the basement.
Yeah. What else happened in the show? Anything?
No, I mean,
Well,
Should we talk about the hosts maybe? The
Sure.
chefs
Oh yeah,
slash
key part of
hosts?
the show.
We haven't really talked about them yet. So obviously Gordon Ramsay's in the show because it's on Fox. It's a cooking show, and so he's contractually obligated to be in all cooking shows on Fox. So he's here. He is a mentor chef. And then we have, who do we have next? Naisha Arrington, aka Team Arrington. Does anyone know who this person is and what she's famous for?
she's a chef. She's famous for being a chef.
Yeah, I
Thank
think
you.
that she's on some on a Bravo show. Maybe I was just trying to look her up. But yeah, she's a
Somebody-
celebrity chef.
Internet corner that for us.
But like, she worked with Joel Robuchon. She worked at Michelin-starred restaurants. Like, real deal.
The real
Yeah.
deal.
I have no doubt that like everybody on this show, well, the three hosts are like amazing chefs, but it's really difficult for me to like know like all the top level chefs. Like, you know, the ones that like have published like super famous books on TV, but like when it goes to like Michelin star, like I don't have like that visibility of like all the different chefs because there's a lot of them.
I don't know, Brian. I don't know. There's a lot of chefs.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
like,
people that
I'm
won.
just not gonna like. There's gonna be a lot of people like you can pop on a show who are like professional level chefs.
There's a lot of like winners of Top Chef. You know.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, like I think that's like they're kind of a combination of like accomplished chefs and like chefs that are famous from doing stuff on TV, basically.
It looks like she's been on a bunch of Top Chefs, Guys Grocery Games as a judge in a lot of them. Chopped Next Gen, Tournament of Champions, all sorts of just like Food Network type shit.
So she's just like she works as she's a famous chef,
Yeah.
but also a
Oh.
famous reality show chef.
It looks like she was a contestant on Top Chef in 2011.
But
Yeah.
she didn't win.
Maybe she did. I don't know.
And
No
then
spoilers.
we've got our next chef, Richard Blaze.
Mm-hmm.
All I found, he's from San Diego, is what I gathered.
Yeah, he got to start on Top Chef too. I've definitely seen him on there before, but yeah, he was it's like a contestant on Top Chef, and I think he maybe won Top Chef All Stars at some point. But yeah, he's definitely pretty legit.
He's too legit to quit.
Too legit.
Anyway, so they're in this episode. They're on each level, like helping the chefs on each level, saying like, "Here's when you go get the food. What are you making? You know, the normal stuff." They don't seem to be helping that much, but it's unclear in the edit exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, they're mostly there for motivation. I found it kind of funny that like Gordon Ramsay also got the basement where he's just used to working in crappy kitchens and like improving them.
He's just too lazy to go up to the next level. He's just like,
No, and
I'm at the list level. I'm just gonna be here.
he got Hell's Kitchen duty.
I mean, this is his show. If he didn't want to be on the bottom level, he wouldn't have been on the bottom level. And then they cook. Does anyone have any minutia they want to talk about with the cooking?
I have a couple things.
Go ahead, Max.
One person burns rice, which honestly, I'm not a good cook. That seems really hard to do.
I think if you don't put enough water or something.
I mean, all the different types of rice have like different cook times and everything. It's kind of weird that they chose that type and then burned it, or basically overcooked it.
Sure.
I don't know.
One other contestant cut herself in the top floor. So maybe you want those dull knives on the bottom.
No, you don't, because that's how you lose a finger, dude. I'd rather just like slice off a little bit.
Just slice off like the top.
And the last thing I want to talk about is the plating. So the plating uses that elevator platform again.
And the 30-second timing.
Yeah, which I enjoyed. So, the elevator starts at the bottom and everybody has 30 seconds or 15 seconds or whatever to put their plate on the elevator, and then it moves up to the second floor and then the first floor. There's one guy who like very nearly missed it. Like he was already moving when he
No.
Yeah.
We got to talk about this bullshit. Like he did not plate it in the 30 seconds and got it on there.
Yeah.
And it's in there.
Yeah,
Like
he put it on the bottom tier section instead of the top tier section because it was
Oh.
going up. And I was like, he didn't get penalized at all.
right. You just got to put it in the right level. You got to put it on within time. Like, why are people people get away with cheating now?
Yeah,
What is this?
Like, what's going on with society?
It's fucking
People
better
get
than
away
last
with
week.
too much shit. If you can't tell, the Oscars are this weekend, and there's some shit that went down.
I was just
That
talking
people
about
got
last
away
week.
with. You know,
I was just talking about last week where there's a cheater.
it's
And
true.
everybody burned me because I was like, oh, this show's okay, even though there's a cheater in it.
I mean, definitely affected the ratings for last week. So we'll see if this cheating event really has any. Like, it's not like anyone's getting eliminated this week, Brian. So like, I'm not sure like it really matters that much. If like,
Yeah, I guess like you had to keep them on.
Yeah. I mean, like, this is always just something, having watched the whole season, like, it adds, like, a little bit of weird TV drama for a couple of seconds with them running over to put it on, but it's ultimately not really impactful. And, like, I mean, spoiler alert, there was only ever one dish in the entire season that didn't make it on the platform that was raising up. So it ended up not being super impactful, but it always creates a lot of kind of manufactured drama.
Yeah, but that's also funny that I've never seen that on any other cooking show. Like every other one is just like there seems to be some magic happening with the camera. It's like, oh, they're like rushing to put it on, but they're probably like 10 minutes ahead or something.
Yeah.
And everybody's fine.
I mean, it was often coming right down to the last second. Like you were seeing, at least with this show, like the way they shoot it, they show the elevator come in. They show people they're finishing up things or throwing things on plates or running over. Like, I mean, you have a real sense of the timing and what's happening.
To be clear though, Brian, that person also got picked second to last. So like, it's not like
no, but I don't think
that could have
been
a detriment. I mean, it's not the reason.
Yeah,
but just he wasn't picked first.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't gonna get picked anyway because like he couldn't get shit done. It's fine.
Yeah, and this is what gets me about these shows. Is we watch these people cook, kind of. We don't really watch them cook. We just kind of see vignettes of people doing stuff at a kitchen, and then like you kind of get some backstory that you don't care about, and like this whole middle meat of the show is just kind of like, at least to me. Like I don't know if anyone else feels that way.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely like competition cooking shows. Like, I mean, it's definitely not instructional, but depending on the show, you get to hear them explain the dish. You get to see them kind of making some components of it. Maybe, yeah.
I mean, for how I said that, and like this show, like I think this show's edited very well. Like, I think this particular episode definitely shies less into the cooking and more into the backstories. Is like, as you'd go forward, I'm sure you would do more. You see more of the cooking,
for sure.
So it's hard to. I think they did a decent job at it, but it's like this whole genre to me is a little weird, as a whole.
They could do a little bit more instruction. I like learning about like different like cooking techniques and stuff. I like the barbecue shows where they would actually like show, oh, here's what we're doing for like these rubs, this smoking.
These rubs.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like this show has a little bit of kind of like the Master Chef vibe, where like sometimes one of the chefs will be doing something, and then Gordon or Richard or whoever will go and say, "Oh, hey, be careful with this, or you might want to think twice about doing this, or you might want to, do this a different way." And I think like some of that stuff's kind of interesting, but
Absolutely.
There's also something with this show, and I think normal Hell's Kitchen has the same like level of chef, where it's like you got home cook to like professional chef in this like
mhm.
in this grouping of contestants. And it's always interesting to me to pick like how does a show like this pick that level, these particular people to be on the show? Like there's definitely as I'm watching this, I'm like, well, those three people, they're not making it past like 5. Like they're terrible. They're like nowhere near as like the level of like somebody that works as a chef. They're just not there. There's like some old lady that's like overcooked chicken and like her dish looked very basic and you're like she's done. Like there's no way she makes it past 5.
Wasn't she also a baker too? So
Yeah.
like,
She's a professional baker. She bakes things and sells them on the internet. Like that's not a chef. Like I this is also my gripe with this kind of format is just like, okay, you pick these people because you need like a diverse cast and like what level of chef are we looking at here? What are we learning? What are we seeing? Like and this level chef is just hard because you're not going to learn anything like Brian says. It's just like not going to learn anything from these people because they're already like a level above you. You wouldn't really learn too much from them, right?
yeah, I suck.
But they're not like the top of the top level chefs where like, that's what you expect to get at like, 4-star or 5-star places in Seattle,
Right.
or in your local city.
All these people are mostly competing for the mentorship. Like they all like want to aspire to be something greater, and I do love that piece of it.
Yeah, I mean these are
I mean,
go ahead.
you're also competing for TV time and fame and all that jazz. It's like saying the people on The Bachelor are competing for love.
Well, so here's the difference though. Like I don't have an idea of how famous any of the contestants are. Like I imagine there's like an okay knowledge there. Like the baker was nationwide selling their cookies. That's awesome. But when I look at like the Bachelor contestants, like these are very popular Instagram models or influencers rather. And I don't know like just the reach that this is gonna have for anybody's business.
Max, I think that you're making a false dichotomy here because like if you are on the show, there is a clear path for you to just be like a better chef. Like you get kicked
Sure,
out of the
absolutely.
show, you can certainly be a Sioux level chef somewhere. Like it's not like there's a path forward. Whereas if you get kicked out of The Bachelor, your path forward is what? Like being a social media influencer or finding
No.
love on a different reality show. Like
Bachelor in
is-
Paradise and just
there's
No.
no like real path forward. And some of these people seem really excited to meet these chefs, especially Gordon Ramsay. I mean, like everyone wanted to be on Gordon Ramsay's team. Let's be clear.
Oh yeah.
I agree, except for that one guy. But
That's true.
we'll come back to that.
And I will say I was impressed throughout the season on how well some of the home chefs did, because like I was thinking the same thing, like, oh yeah, these professional chefs are going to kind of blow them away, but like actually some of the home chefs end up doing pretty well too. So
I mean, some of the people that said they were home chefs in here and you saw their dish, you're like, oh yeah, I mean, like that's a pretty good dish. But some of them, you're like, that ain't a good dish, and this is like you're setting your bar super low right now. Like, yeah, I mean, we could talk about this thing that happened at this. Like, let's talk about this picks at the end. So
Ooh.
Gordon Ramsay, Arlington, and Blaze pick at the end, and they let Gordon Ramsay pick first, which I feel like he shouldn't have been picking first. It's his show; he should have gone last.
I'm going to disagree with that. I think he should have picked first because he was basement.
Okay. I still think there should have been a snake draft here.
Oh, I 100%
There's
agree.
no reason why Gordon Ramsay gets 1 and 4. Like, it definitely should have been Blaze picked third. He should have picked third and fourth. And Gordon Ramsay should have gotten first and sixth.
Yeah, that was definitely kind of garbage.
Like, Gordon Ramsay got the 5 top picks, essentially. Like, he got to pick, like, each round he got to pick first.
Well, it's his show.
And that's why they shoved them in the basement.
Oh man, I have a lot to say after we get through these picks. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I mean there's nothing really to say about these picks, to be honest with you. That was my only real thing to say was that they should have done a snake draft.
There was the temptation.
Oh yeah,
segments.
the temptation pick. So like,
where
Blaze, somebody got picked from Blaze picked somebody, and he picked like 6th, and then Gordon Ramsay was like, "Hey, do you want to swap to my team with his like apron?" And the guy said no because he got picked by Blaze. But like, this is bullshit. If he switched, that would have been terrible for this show.
Yeah.
No, right?
I agree. It would be complete bullshit.
Fuck Gordon Ramsay, dude.
Like Gordon, we know it's your show, but you can't just change the rules like that.
Dude.
The fact that he's flouting the
God.
rules already is like makes a detriment to the show as a whole.
There is nothing about this show that is really a real competition between these judges. I mean, like they're setting they're setting this thing up like they're gonna pick these teams, and it's Team Gordon and Team Nyesha and Team Richard, and they're gonna battle. And like, you know, one of the most painful things about this show is like the judges have to act like, and they're really bad at acting, and so like Gordon Ramsay will like get kind of fake upset about, you know, his team losing or his team not doing well, or like, you know, somebody saying something about, you know, like, you know, his team's dish. And like, so they kind of have this conceit of like, they're fighting each other and they're sort of battling, but it just doesn't really work. And the other reason why it doesn't work is because not only are they the mentors of these teams, so they are in the kitchen with each of these teams as they're cooking, but they're also the judges and the hosts and everything. So they have to play like so many different roles that it's hard for them to actually like help their team and be unbiased and keep the show moving in the right direction. So it's kind of, it ends up in a pretty weird place with those three kind of having to do everything.
Okay, Harrison, I think this is a good point. You having all the knowledge of the season.
Yeah.
What's the general format of this show?
Tell us the format. We need to know the real format.
Okay, here's the format. So they pick these teams, these 3 teams, like I was saying, and basically every week it starts by these 3 teams are you know, they're on like the ground floor or whatever, and there's 3 different key cards for this elevator.
So they do the key card thing still?
Oh yeah, they're doing the key cards. So somebody on the team will just pick one of the key cards and go in the elevator and boop it, and then it'll go to whatever floor it's going to go to, and they'll get out and like, you're on the top floor, you're on the middle floor, you're on the bottom floor. I think very clear that those key cards aren't doing anything, and the producers are just choosing where the teams are going. It doesn't even seem like it's real.
So I was like, as they were doing that, I'm like, this is just an excuse for you to pick where they go.
Yeah, exactly.
It
So
doesn't even make sense. Like, you could just randomize it, and it's just what?
Yeah, but why randomize it when if you're a producer and you want to control all the action and the drama? Anyway, but so they pick these things, and it's 1 team per floor, and the teams go there with their celebrity chef mentor. So Gordon is with his Chrome floor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there's some kind of a theme for the challenge of the week, and they basically compete at first as teams. So like Team Gordon will try and put out the best like set of like 4 or 5 dishes, or however many people are on the team at that point. And then they all stack up the plates on the rising elevator, and it goes up, and then they judge it. And then when they're judging it, they go through all the dishes, but they basically kind of have to come to a consensus on like which of the 3 mentors teams like had the best set of dishes for the week. that team is then safe, and then they pick like a they pick like a last place team, where I think maybe they pick two people out of the two last place teams to then go in a head-to-head cook-off battle, whoever the two worst were, and then they get booted off. But like, it's all, all of the decisions about the safe team and the top and the bottom and everything are made by the mentors who have been trying to coach their team to win previously, and now they're forced to like try and judge these things in an unbiased way, and it's pretty wild. So that's kind of a big chunk of the season.
Yeah, that sounds. I think you hit the nail on the head. That sounds like, oh yeah, you don't have like it's just Gordon Ramsay gets to pick almost essentially because
Yeah,
it's his show, and
that's
I'd be surprised if he doesn't win a lot of the weeks.
That's really what it feels like, and like sometimes he has to lose, obviously, so he will go and throw a fake temper tantrum about his team losing or whatever, and they'll be like, all right, fine, like we got to do it. So like, so that whole thing's happening. I think that if they had independent judges that are not the mentors, it would have been a lot better. There's this other cooking show that I watched. It's called Barbecue Brawl, which is basically Bobby Flay and Michael Simon, this other Food Network chef. It's the same thing. They're basically mentoring a set of BBQ people, but there's a separate independent set of 3 judges. So those people can actually get in. They can really help. They can really try to make things better. A lot of times they're even cooking with them, which never happens in this show. So I kind of like that format because it feels more like they're actually trying to help the team and not like they're just trying to create reality show drama on the thing. So
I like that.
That's basically a big chunk of the season. Yeah.
I really like the.
Do we have to do Barbecue Brawl Throwdown?
Dude, that show's great.
So there's no like you came in last place, like the second to last place person that did get kicked out. It's not like their team gets put on the bottom level for the next week because they're like,
no, it's totally random again what levels you get the next week, which is
that's
crazy.
So silly. What is going
it's crazy.
on here?
But then about halfway through the season, the teams start getting too small because people will start getting eliminated, and so the format basically changes. And I can't remember exactly how they got into it, but like I think there's like an initial cook, and then they kind of get like stack ranked, and like the best people get put on the top floor, the middle third people get put on the middle floor, and the bottom third people get put on the bottom floor. And then depending on how you do in that week, if you do well, you can move up a floor. If you do bad, you can move down a floor. So then they kind of have this thing, but it is this sort of self-perpetuating thing where like the best chefs are just on the top floor getting the best ingredients and the best equipment, while the worst chefs are down on the bottom floor sucking wind with the bad equipment and the bad food. So
this is classic. What was that reality show we watched?
Opposite
Worlds, where they have one team is in like in the future with great house, and one team is in the past freezing with and like doing challenges, and like, well, who's gonna win? The team that was like nice and slept well, or the one that's like on the floor that didn't sleep at all and they're sick. Like, obviously,
Chris, I've been waiting to bring up Opposite Worlds for like 10 minutes.
Max, you have more to say about Opposite Worlds?
Well, yeah, you said it's bullshit that it's always random who's on top and who's on the bottom during the teams phase, and it prevents the self-perpetuating Opposite Worlds situation. For those of you in the audience who don't know about Opposite Worlds, given these two teams, the ones who had no sleep and no beds obviously did worse every week and never succeeded.
Yeah, you would swap if you won a challenge. So if you won the challenge, you'd be in the nice house. If you lost the challenge, you're in the shit house. But like you listen to our podcast on this. There's also a famous YouTube video about the worst reality show of all time, and that's Opposite Worlds. It's very interesting. Anyway, that's why I think they should have done the opposite, where you get the best ingredients on the bottom, and then you get the worst ingredients on the top. So there is a disadvantage of being at the top. If there's no disadvantage of being at the top, this whole show is fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know why producers keep thinking that, like these shit people will just like fight for their right to survive. No, fuck that. They're beaten down. Like they want to go home now. They're done.
Yeah, like it's definitely a lot of the same people in eliminations week over week until they have to go home. Definitely
That's
happens.
that just burns people out. Like, what the
Well,
fuck is their problem?
I mean, that's also just like how you pick the cast. It's like you got these home cooks, and you got professional cooks, and the professional cooks, like the better cooks, are just gonna sail their way probably through this show. They might be stressed, but like the home cooks are like the ones that are gonna be struggling because they don't have the base. You know?
One of the most stressful parts about the show is the way that the elimination challenges work. So like basically they set up the two people who are up for elimination on cooking stations that are next to each other, and all the rest of the cast is like 5 feet away from their station, like looking at them and often shouting at them and saying like, oh, you gotta take this rice off, oh, you gotta do this, and just bombarding them with whatever. And it just looks like the most stressful environment ever to try and cook in, because they just won't let them do their thing. They're just like constantly yelling at them. It's crazy.
Holy shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That sounds crazy.
Yeah.
Should
The
we
other
get to-
thing,
Yeah,
and
Harrison, go through all of your
Oh, yeah.
your,
I don't know,
gripes
just-
now, because we'll get the questions afterwards.
okay. Well, I don't have a lot more gripes. I've already aired most of my big gripes about the show. One of the other interesting things about the show, and if you can kind of visualize what this looks like, we already talked about the three kitchens are stacked on top of each other, but it's also on like a TV stage. Like there's no front on any of the kitchens, so the cameras point at them. You can see from the outside the kitchens stacked on top of each other, right? And that means that it's basically open towards the camera. And at some point, there's one chef who starts a big fire in their pan and like can't get it under control. And then they're on like the second or third floor, and Gordon Ramsay goes over to it, grabs the pan, and just chucks it off the building basically to like try and quote unquote put it out. First, there's some kind of manufactured drama moment.
The set on fire.
Yeah, he didn't light the set on fire, but he did throw a pan off like the third floor of that thing
Damn.
on fire.
Are you sure that wasn't Arrington? Because I think we saw that a clip.
Oh yeah, it actually might have
Yeah.
been her.
Because we
Yeah.
saw
They show it in the teaser at the
Oh,
beginning
yeah.
of the show. Yeah, it was Maisha.
she's like, this isn't next level cooking.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. They say next level so much. There's like I just don't know if you really took this dish to the next level. Like I don't really know if this is what a next level chef would do. It's tough. Just the whole vibe of the show. It's just like, and it all comes back to the fact that I just think that the three celebrity judge / mentors were not allowed to be authentic, and they kind of had to like do these sort of fake personas and try to like drive the drama in the show. And I think it just would have been a lot better if they just let them be authentic and actually mentor these people, which is not really what they're doing. So
I also have another minor minutia about like the aprons. I looked up the company that makes them, Headley and Bennett. They're much less expensive than I expected, but they're still kind of expensive for an apron, like around $100.
When you're a next level
That's-
chef, you need that.
Yeah, like I would have expected
a
something like
bit.
200 though. I
Okay,
don't
all
know
right.
why.
We're moving on to questions. We're getting too deep. I think bringing up this whole next level thing, we got to talk about drinking rules. We'll briefly talk about that. I think we'll bring it back. But I think of your rules as you have 3 different drinks in front of you. You've got a top shelf drink, a middle shelf drink, and a bottom shelf drink. And I think that's how we have to structure our rules. Okay, so think about it in your head while we're going through the next segment. So let's talk about worst human being.
Gordon Ramsay.
You think it's Gordon?
Yeah, fuck him for trying to cheat. He's gonna do it more.
It's true. He did try to cheat the rules, and he didn't allow the snake draft, which would have been more fair.
That's a little like a minor detail in my eyes. Like the snake draft, yeah, like I agree that they should have done it, but it's still like I just think it was an oversight.
Yeah, I can't think if there's any other. Not that he's like terrible candidate here. It's just there's not a lot of worse human beings in this.
No. I also think the other hosts were more positive.
Which I feel like that's pretty rare for an American competition show. There's almost always a villain.
Yeah, I mean, cooking shows don't tend to have that many villains, though. Like, I think it's just like the format
I
itself
mean,
is more enticing than like a Bachelor that like you don't need as much.
Chris, there was a clear villain in last week's cooking show.
Well, yeah.
I
I
mean-
guess. But he cheated for sure. But did he like?
No one cheated this week except for that
I-
one guy. Is the
Ye-
one guy that cheated? He's the worst human being.
Like the thing is, it didn't feel purposeful. Just like, oh, there was chaos. I don't know. Maybe I'm excusing it. Fuck him. I can go with either.
So I don't think it's necessarily worst person, but there's this guy on the show Ruel who like in some future episodes like had a habit of kind of boxing people out as they were trying to get to the ingredients, and he's a pretty big guy, so you know.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Not ideal, but we didn't see that on this
That's
episode,
true.
so I think we can say there's no worst person.
I say it's soft Ramsey, but there's
Hmm.
no emphatic.
Who's gonna hook up next?
Gordon Ramsay and Arrington for sure. Or maybe it's
Ooh.
Gordon Ramsay and the Japanese woman. She seemed like she's really into Gordon Ramsay. Like, I don't think it would take a lot of coaxing on Gordon's part.
I don't think it would take a lot of coaxing for most of them.
Brian, how much coaxing would it take for you to hook up with Gordon?
Absolutely none.
None. So Gordon walks in and you're like dressed strop and trowel. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that's what happened. Yeah. All right. Just so we're all on the same page here. Is this an apex or downgrade for any of these hosts? Like, it's like Gordon
Oh.
Ramsay's like 18th show.
I gotta say, it's
It's
not his apex for sure.
Yeah, I don't really think it's anybody's.
a side grade for
Yeah, I
him.
don't really think it's anybody's apex.
I mean, it's the show that was after the Super Bowl, guys.
It might be Chef Blaze's apex. I don't know enough about him.
I feel like more people saw him win Top Chef than this show.
Oh
battled
yeah,
out.
you're right.
The ratings are all over the place for the show. The post Super Bowl is 5.08 million viewers in the US, and then it goes down to like 1.5 for most of the episodes, and then episode 6 inexplicably is 8.11 million. Just jumps way
It
up.
must have been after something.
Yeah, something must have happened.
After
Was
Uh,
that like the
Oscars.
last episode of the season?
No, it was like the middle episode of the season, January 30th. Or
Huh.
it was before it.
Wait, the one after the Super Bowl would have been in February.
Oh well, maybe
That would do it.
no.
Maybe it was
Well,
after some sort of NFC championship game or something.
yeah, it must have been NFL related. January 30th.
Yeah. I mean, 1.5 is pretty good for Fox, I think.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably one of their higher rated shows. Should we go back to drinking rules? People have their drinking rules.
Ooh, this is gonna be.
I'll start out with one. Anytime one of the judges says next level, you have to take a sip out of the floor they're on. So if Gordon Ramsay's on the top floor, you take your top shelf drink, take a drink. If he's on the bottom floor, you take a sip of your bottom shelf drink.
Okay, what if any of these rules take place off the floors? Because like they're gonna say this off those floors all the time.
Well, like, hopefully you generally know what chef is on what team and what floor they're on.
I really need to know these rules because that rule's gonna make everybody black out.
Yeah, you don't need
I
any other
mean, like-
rules if you do that one.
Like, I don't know if we're talking about like, you know, you're having vodka and like whiskey. We assume that people are having like a decent, like a beer sized drink here for their
Okay.
sips. They're not doing shots. Like,
I mean, I actually was gonna think that for the bottom floor, it's something for beer, and then the top floor is a shot of something. Because if something catastrophic happens in the top floor, what did you do?
I think it's like on the bottom you got some like a Pabst, and in the middle you got like a Bud Heavy, and then like at the top you got your IPA. You know,
Yeah. Okay, Max, how do you feel about this?
Okay. How do I feel about that drinking rule, or what drinking rule do
or
I
anything.
have? My drinking rule is every time somebody takes an ingredient off that you're like, what the fuck is that? Like potted meats. Rifle through your alcohol drawer and find something and you're like, what the fuck is this?
Oh, that's good.
and take a shot.
Harrison, you got a drinking rule?
I don't know. Maybe drink every time Gordon Ramsay gets fake mad about something.
I think you should cheers the winning team with your level of alcohol that you've chosen,
Like that.
Brian.
I think. Okay, so this is going to go outside of your like level rules, or maybe you can fit in there. Actually, maybe okay.
Just like
Drink every time you see somebody use an appliance that you have. And then this could get worse because like if the top level is like a heavy drink, and you've bought like garlic presses and immersion blenders, like you're next level chef, but you're gonna be drunk.
if you want to get real drunk, anytime somebody tastes something from their dish, take a drink from the level they're on. Not the end where they were judging, just like while they're cooking.
People are gonna die.
And then one last one. Anytime you see a dish at the end, you're like, "Oh, that looks so good! I really want to try that." Take a drink.
And then if Gordon brashes it, just
Man, you're gonna be wrecked by the end of
we're gonna be wrecked by
You're
like
gonna be-
next level.
You're gonna be wrecked in all our drinking rules packs, all of them. All right. What do you think the production schedule of the show was? Do we know what the production schedule of the show was?
Not a damn clue.
It
There's
doesn't say
like
episode
10
day.
episodes, I think.
Mm.
There are 11 episodes. They could shoot an episode a day on this thing. I don't think that they're doing more than one a day because they have to do a regular challenge and an elimination challenge. They probably shot this thing in 2 weeks.
Plus 2 weeks quarantine.
True.
I'm sure this is a COVID show for sure.
Yeah, maybe that's part of the inspiration behind like breaking people up in 3 floors. It kind of limits your COVID exposure, maybe.
Well, I mean, they're definitely like in their own block at the hotel or what it like.
Oh yeah.
They're all quarantined out. But it definitely like you're on a set, so it's like limiting like your exposure for sure. All right, let's move on to our last question where we do ratings. We do a stack ranking system between top, middle, bottom, third compared to other reality shows. Brian, what do you got for me?
I think I'm gonna put this top of the middle. I really liked that this thing was moving, and I want to see how people are going to grow, because I want to see the mentorship aspect. I couldn't see that here, and I at least want to check out another episode to see that.
Max, what do you got for me?
I'm gonna say top third. Middle of the top. I rather enjoyed this episode. I thought it really moved. The only problem was too many people, and that'll work itself out.
Harrison, what do you got for me?
It's gonna be a middle third show for me. I mean, I liked it enough clearly to watch the whole season of it, so it's definitely a show that I enjoyed. I think for season 2, bring in some independent judges and let these mentors actually compete for real, and then we're gonna be in the top third zone.
I was thinking middle third as I was watching the end of this, but as we talk about the show, I think it's a bottom third show. I think it's silly. I think the premise is lackluster and done poorly, and it's a cooking show, which I find in general poor. Like I can't taste it. I don't learn anything. It's just like, why am I watching this? It's not that entertaining. Like, just cooking shows. As a cooking show, this is a middle third. But as a reality show, it's bottom third. Like, you got to really elevate your cooking show to get you above bottom third. And this show doesn't do it. The top third, too many advantages, no disadvantages. And there's just, like, as Harrison has pointed out, where the format doesn't seem to really help the show at all. So I'm going to put it in the bottom third. And that's it for our discussion this week of the show. If you tell us what you thought about the show at Hoop of This On our Twitter poll, or tweet at us if the poll's over. Let us know. We'll read it later. So on to shout outs. What else have I ever been watching? Brian, what have you been watching?
I watched more Is It Cake.
Why?
I was bored and I needed something to fall asleep to.
Okay.
I mean, it's okay if you don't pay attention.
Can that be on the box? It's okay if you don't watch it.
Yeah. Like,
But really, how's it been going?
I think it's been going okay. Like, I mean, I like that nobody's getting eliminated. I truly do appreciate that we're seeing like a thing through. Although I haven't got to the end, so I don't know how you win this. The end thing is just silly with like the money stuff. Although like it changes forms, it's like a cash register, bag of cash. The items are really, really good, and I think that they do a good job. There's better ones than the taco.
Any more cheating?
Not that I've seen, which is also good.
Max, what do you got for me? Any shout outs?
Not too much. Listening to audiobooks, playing Elden Ring. That's my life.
Harrison, similar?
I'm not listening to audiobooks, but I am playing Elden Ring. That game is amazing and people should play it for sure. On the TV side of things, new season of Survivor is plugging along. It's decent, a lot of the same mechanics as the previous season because they shot them at the same time. And then more cooking shows. Top Chef is happening right now, new season of Top Chef, so I'm checking that out. That's been pretty good so far. And also, I'm definitely a sucker for MasterChef Junior, another Gordon Ramsay property, because, like, man, have you ever seen, like, an 8-year-old make, like, a fine dining dish? It's crazy.
Is that back? I literally looked that up during this show, and I was like, oh, it stopped in, like, 2020 because COVID.
MasterChef Junior is back, and it's on, like, episode 3 of the season.
Yeah.
Brian literally told me MasterChef Junior was canceled while we were watching the show.
Well, to be fair, I just looked up MasterChef Junior winners or like it was the one like Google auto suggestion.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing like, yeah, just stop there because production paused.
Well, it's on Hulu, and yeah, it's pretty good.
So I've been watching a couple things. One thing that I've been catching up on, which is because it's new on Hulu, American Crime Story. With Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton season. It starts out really slow, but by like episode 5, like it's rampant. It's really intriguing. It's really good. Like I didn't know the ins and outs of this whole thing, and like it's definitely similar to like the whole first season. Like I didn't know the ins and outs of the whole OJ thing. You really, I don't know how. I assume most of it's real, but like it's very eye opening to a point. I'd recommend that. And the second thing I recommend is Last One Laughing came out in Canada, which we've done an episode of the Mexican version, and we did the original documental, which is the Japanese version. And this one's really good. Like it's got a A-list cast. Like it's so A-list that like the winners win money for charity. They don't win money. So like we're not talking about people bringing $10,000 in and winning $100,000. We're talking about people that don't need $100,000. We're talking Colin Mockery. We're talking Tom Green. We're talking like the guy from The League is in there. There's somebody from like Sabrina the Teenage Witch from the 90s. Like these people are funny. They're funny and it's good. I think the format is a little failing that you don't hear a lot of people laughing all the time. But when people getting eliminated, then they start laughing. It's good. I'd recommend it's on Amazon. That's what we have for you this week. You can find us on Twitter at WhoPutThisOn. You can email suggestions at whoputthison@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook.com/whoputtithison. You can find us on TikTok at WhoPutThisOn Podcast. And we'll see you guys next time. Oh,
right.
baby, you got what I need.
But you say he's just a friend.
You got this.
But you say he's just a friend.
Oh, baby, you got what I need.